Hey everyone, we have some disturbing facts about food and your blood sugar that Dr. Chen is here today to share during this week's amazing P.A.D. Leg Saver Hotline Hangout. We have a great live in studio audience that's here. Don't forget, like this video, subscribe to our channel, spread awareness for P.A.D. at poor circulation in your legs. And if you want to join us in the live studio audience, just email us at info@padhelp.org. But welcome everyone. Such an exciting day. I am so excited about this, Dr. Chen. I have been waiting for a week, and you and I have been back and forth about which fact is more disturbing than the other to make our top five.
Well, thank you for having me back again. This is a lot of fun. I'm so happy that all of you guys are able to join because as a type 1 diabetic, I get frustrated sometimes in managing my own blood sugar. So if you're diabetic and you're like feeling like I can't handle this, believe me, I've been there. So Kim and I have been going back and forth about what were some of the mistakes I made when I'm managing my own diabetes, and I still remember those moments like, it says it's vegetable chips. Why is my blood sugar so high?
It's vegetables. That's not supposed to impact my blood sugar, is it? It's
Well,
just dried
especially when
vegetables, right?
right, it's supposed to be non-starchy vegetables, and so this is when the vegetable chips first came out. And I'm eating it, and of course, mistake number one is not reading label. Mistake number two is not looking at portion sizes. So I'm not covering my insulin correctly, thinking it's just vegetables. Well, then when my sugar goes sky high, then I go, I should really look at the back of those labels and start seeing tapioca. I'm like, why is tapioca?
Tapioca starch.
Cornstarch, potato starch. Hmm. I guess that's what's throwing my blood sugar off. Plus, not reading portion size and figuring out how much carbs per serving. So I wasn't covering correctly. So that was a big surprise.
I see that
So
Beth, she's also a type 1 diabetic. She's just sitting there nodding. I mean, she's incessantly nodding in agreement that this just rings true for you as well. I'm sure you've thought, oh my gosh, this should be fine. And then lo and behold, a few extra ingredients you didn't even think would be added to something just goes boom and spikes your blood sugar.
I just
Surprise.
had that happen before I went into the hospital. Before I went to Springfield, I was sitting here eating. What was it? I was eating? Oh, I had some cottage cheese, and I forgot to add the carbohydrates. So it kind of spiked me up a little bit. And then I had like just two small Hershey's Kisses. And you can eat 7 of them for 19 grams of carbohydrates. And so if you take 7 and divide that by 2 and then go into your all that math, and I'm just like, oh, to heck with it. So I ended up going a little high. Yeah,
Oh,
it happens.
I know it happens. And that's why when I'm doing education with the patients, I tell them it's okay. None of us are perfect, but we have to learn from our mistakes, right? So that was mistake I learned about managing my own blood sugar. So I learned to make some vegetable chips myself. I had learned to, okay, I think you guys might like this one. Everybody is told you can't have potato chips, right? Because it's
yeah.
processed. It's the for example, Pringles, it's like they make it into this mash of, I have no idea what you call that, and they preform like the Pringles. But my best friend, top 100 chef in the world with a PhD in human nutrition. I'm going to teach you guys something that you could do yourself.
So
Okay,
excited.
again, it's a treat. So think of it as a treat day, but you're going to still doing portion control. But the way she taught me is she told me of all the potatoes out there, she told me to go get the Yukon Gold because it is like one of the highest potatoes that has protein compared to, she said, absolutely stay away from Idaho potatoes, okay, because that has the biggest amount of starch. So rule number 1, go with Yukon Gold. Rule number 2, you're going to de-starch your potato. So you want your French fries or your potato chips,
Yeah.
slice it up, and you're going to put it in a container of water. Every hour, you're going to change that water. So the first time you change the water, you're going to see there's a lot of potato starch coming out. And you're going to do that once every hour until you go to bed. Well, who's going to wake up every hour to change water, right? So I just leave it in the refrigerator, and the next morning I'll change water again until the water is clear. So if you touch the surface of the potato, it's no longer smooth. It's kind of got this tiny ridges. That's because you took out about 40 to 50% of starch, she told me, leaving just the cellulose structure. Okay. Now, the way you're going to make the potato chip is, well, this is how the way she taught me. She said you're going to do 2 fries. This is why McDonald's fries taste so good, because they fry it at a lower temperature, then at a higher temperature. So what she had me do is you pat dry all the potatoes. Now I have my oil going at like, I think it was 300 degrees, she told me. And your first fry, that's like, you just want to develop a slight golden color on the skin of the potato. And then that's it. You're going to throw it in your refrigerator, and you're going to portion size it. I'm sorry, the freezer. You're going to portion size it. And then that way, 1, you're forming resistant starch. And 2, by the time you want something, like everyone else is having that little treat day and you're going to have your treat day, you only take out that small portion of fries, then you do the second fry. And the texture inside is going to be like golden crispy outside and creamy on the inside. Plus, you're portion controlling with smaller amount of starch. You guys
Oh, I love that trick. How many times do you think that you have to rinse the potatoes? Like, how many hours before you go to bed are you doing this?
I do it. I would start sometime in the afternoon. That's what I do. So I like maybe around noontime, I start cutting up the potatoes. And usually if I do something like this, I would have a whole bag. That way
Oh
I would
my God.
drop the whole entire batch and then portion it out in the freezer and take out a
So
at a time.
we have Marsha that also just joined the studio. I know this is something that she is not going to want to miss. Marina or Wanda or Marie or Beth, anyone want to give a shot at just summarizing your understanding of what Dr. Chen just shared with us? I can start. Yukon potatoes only, Marsha. Yukon potato gold. No Idaho potatoes. Okay, so who's next? We're making healthy French fries and healthy potato chips. Where do we start?
Just a quick question I have. Can you do that
Sure.
with sweet potatoes? Because I love sweet potatoes, and sweet potatoes are healthy, but they're still a starchy food. And there's a little bit more sugar coming from the sweet potato, than what there is the regular potato.
Well, I will have to ask my best friend.
Yeah, I'd be interested in knowing that, because yeah, I love my sweet
Do you
potatoes.
guys mind if I write down this little
Yeah.
question? Hold on a second. Well, I want to make sure I get you the right answer. Okay. So, do we de-starch sweet potatoes? I will ask her.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to know.
Yep. And we just had, so Douglas also just joined us. Oh my gosh. And I know Douglas is going to want to hear this. So Douglas, only the Yukon gold potatoes. If you want to make French fries, we're talking about small portions. So Wanda or Marina, do you want to help start with how we start to make these healthier potato chips and French fries? Okay.
I think it would be a lot easier though if we had a taste test.
Oh. No, where's the taste division here? This is what we need.
We need the transporter technology from Star Trek.
So
I've actually made homemade potato chips, but I've never done them the way that you talked about doing them. Because
This is
I slice them really super thin, and
yeah.
I'll just spray my cookie sheet, and I'll throw the thin potatoes on the sheet, and then I'll just throw them in the oven and let them cook until they're crispy. And that's how I've always done them.
And
Right.
that's
But
how
as
I
she
learned.
said, the starch, right? The starch is what's going to spike your
Yeah.
blood sugar. So how do we remove the starch, Marina?
So we cut them up and then we put them in water. And now what I didn't get was how long in the water, but once that's determined, we empty the water and we continue to do this until the water is clear. And there's
Yes, you
that
got
right?
it. You
Pat
just
it
change it. You just change it every hour.
every hour. Okay.
And
So
you
we
leave it
change it
overnight.
and leave overnight. The next day we can, what kind of oil, Dr. Jean, do you use?
Okay, so in the past, I used to use vegetable oil because they say it could deal with higher temperature, but I have found that that's now, in my research of late, I found out that's a seed oil, so that's very anti-inflammatory for your vascular system. And so now I have switched back to tallow, um, and I render that from. We have a butcher shop, maybe
So you get
10
the real
miles
natural
away.
stuff.
Yeah, I get the grass
It's
fat
not the
and I
one that's
render.
genetically modified by Pfizer.
Right. I render my own tallow from this butcher shop. And I have used that and found that the chips taste really good. And the other thing I have used is avocado oil or peanut oil because they can withstand a little higher temperature.
Yeah, the
I
avocado oil, and then you can also get the amphoranueva.com/Marin. They also have a high smoke point olive oil that you can get as well. But Douglas was asking, so you leave the potatoes overnight. So you're going to get a container, Douglas, and you're going to slice up your potatoes in any way you want. If you want to do them on a mandolin to make chips, or if you want to cut them up to make French fries, you put them in a container of water. And every hour, start in the afternoon, every hour, just go and change the water, put it back in the fridge, right? Change the water, put it back in the, did you put it in the fridge when you're doing, okay. So do it all the way up every hour till you go to bed, then leave it in the fridge overnight. And in the morning, do another rinse of them. And it should
Mhm,
be pretty clear at that point in the next one. And then
mhm.
that afternoon, you can start to make your chips. But she says, pat them dry. Really make sure that they're patted dry afterwards. And then you can go ahead and put them in. Maybe, I want to make sure I get this right. So put a little bit of oil in there, portion them, right?
Mhm.
Put a little bit of olive oil, whatever the oil is. And how long do you cook? And is it on medium heat, you said?
Yeah, she had me start at 300 or 325 for temperature. So I do use a thermometer to check the temperature. Um,
Okay.
and so you just fry it until it develops a very light color, golden skin. You don't want a deep dark golden, then you overdid it because you you just take that light golden so it develop a skin texture. And she said that helps prevent you from absorbing more oil during the second fry. But she basically just had me portion size it, freeze it until I'm ready to have, the next cooking session. Um, the second fry, when you take it out of the freezer, it's at 350 degrees. So you always do probably 25 degrees higher than your last fry. And when you fry it this time, you fry it until it's that golden color that you want. It's like you're serving in the restaurant, that kind of golden color.
So you
And do
portion
you,
them. So once you cook them, you're going to portion them and then put them in the freezer in a freezer bag, and then you take them out. Can you put them in the air fryer instead
I
of?
I would think so. At that time, I didn't have an
Yeah.
air fryer, so but recently I haven't been making potato chips for like 2 years, so I haven't tried my air fryer for it. But you know what? I would think you can because
Yeah.
when you think of all the frozen food, right, from the
Yeah.
freezer section, that's all you're doing. So you basically make your own freezer ready French fries at a much cheaper price compared to what you buy
Yeah.
in the supermarket without the preservatives. And you could make a lot of it. Say a bag of potatoes is around $4 or $5, depending on the size. That's You're making a huge portion.
Yeah. Douglas, did you have a question? Someone else had a question. I cut you off.
I have a question.
So-
Do you thaw them for the second cooking? Do you thaw them first or you put them frozen?
I this straight in.
Okay.
Yeah, I even put my frozen, I put it in a baking pan in the oven and I spray it with avocado oil. I add a little bit of rosemary and garlic and a little bit of pepper, sometimes some cayenne on them. And I put them in the oven and I
I'm
just
coming
put
over
them under
now.
bake.
I'm
What'd you
coming
say?
to your house for dinner now because that sounds really good.
It's so good because it helps save it so I'm not using salt. And you can even add a little onion powder on there. The onion powder with a little bit of garlic, it helps to kind of, with that salty kind of taste. What did you want to say, Douglas? Welcome, Douglas. Douglas, our amazing co-host, is here, and he can turn
Hi,
his camera
Douglas.
sideways so we can actually maybe see him. There you go. Hi, Douglas. I bet you have a new fan, Dr. Chen. I bet Douglas absolutely loved that one and was glad he heard that first one, right, Douglas?
Which one?
About the potatoes, making French fries.
Yeah, a couple of questions.
Sure.
Potatoes. What about I get red potatoes, the little red potatoes.
She only recommended Yukon Gold for me, but if you are interested in the red potatoes, I would still destarch it. In terms of glycemic index, it's better than Idaho. I would have to go to calorieking.com. If you guys don't know about that website, it's free. On calorieking.com, you could look up different types of food and see how much carbohydrates per portion. So you could decide whether you want to measure it by ounce or by pound or whatever. Then it would be able to tell you the glycemic, and not so much a glycemic index, but the amount of carbohydrate per serving. So you could do a comparison, and I
Can
think
you
red
still
potatoes are better than the Idaho potatoes.
can you still do what that is fascinating about like with sweet potatoes?
That was a question that
Yep, Beth asked.
Beth had, and I don't know. And I wrote it in my little notebook that I'm going to ask my best friend.
And
Ask her also about purple potatoes because I read something that I heard that purple potatoes have some really high antioxidant levels, but then I heard that they're a nightmare for diabetics. So I'm now torn and I'm wondering if using this process for my purple potatoes would make them just the same as those Yukon Gold with the little extra antioxidant punch. But I'd be afraid that every time I put my potatoes in the water, that um, the purple ends up dissipating. So I'm afraid, like, goodbye down the drain, all the antioxidants.
Oh, I know, because I have heard purple potatoes have so much good antioxidants. I will have
Yeah.
to, I wrote it down. I will ask questions.
one
We're gonna
more.
have a whole other episode on potatoes very soon, right, Douglas?
Yeah, and I, I I'm stuttering bad tonight. Sorry.
Okay.
There. I understood somebody said the other day we had I think it was Monday, not to leave your potatoes in water overnight because it does something about taking away. I can't remember, but I think I remember something like that. He said not to leave the potatoes in overnight.
I wouldn't leave them in overnight myself. I
In
would
the fridge,
not.
or can you leave them?
I
Or can you
wouldn't
leave
leave them
them
in
out?
water. No, you can't leave them out, but you can rinse them several times, like do it 3 or 4 times if you want, but and then pat them dry, I would. if you cover them, because the thing is, they're going to turn like a pinkish, weird color if they're not.
But maybe is that a bad thing, or is that,
Yeah, they're starting
or does it
to,
really
it's
release the
chemical.
starch?
No, I mean, if you leave a wet potato out and you don't use it, it's going to turn pink. It's like a chemical change. I mean, it's not appealing. I don't know if it's bad for you, but it's not appealing.
So you don't
It
leave
says
yours
you can
overnight.
leave, I just asked Copilot, says you can leave potatoes in water overnight, store the potatoes in the fridge to minimize the risk of bacteria growth. Ensure the
Oh.
potatoes are fully submerged in cold
Right.
water. Use a food safe container and keep it completely airtight. If soaking for longer than a few hours, consider changing the water every 8 to 12 hours to maintain quality.
Right. Hmm.
I can tell you, I submerged the potatoes, and I have not seen any pink potatoes.
What I meant is when air hits them for any length
Air.
of time, not
Oh
while they
yeah,
were in water afterwards.
it's the
If you let them sitting out
oxidation.
on your counter for very long or in the fridge, they would kind of get that pink tinge to them.
Yep.
Yeah, I think
So
it's
keep
the
them airtight.
oxidation. Yeah.
So make
Yep.
sure
So I'm
they're
glad that we had that. Say
airtight
that
and
again.
in water. Then make sure they're submerged if you're going to store
Make
them.
sure they're submerged and in
Yeah.
an airtight, because Marcia brings up a good point. Make sure it's in an airtight container.
Okay.
And then, so making sure, and then dry them afterwards. When you're done, you're ready to go, then dry them. Okay, so that was number one. Woo! Okay. So number two.
Number two. Okay, I know Douglas heard this one before, but I was really, really shocked when I found out that the baby carrots are actually real carrots, but they were just irregularly shaped. So they go through a machine to make that baby carrot shape. And because the skin is removed, they actually rinse it through chlorine water. And that was a real shock for me. And so I
Mhm.
didn't realize that there could be potential chlorine still on the baby carrots. And during my research for this episode, I found out even bagged vegetables. Like I'm
Yes, I did
thinking,
too.
I'm thinking like, my gosh, I thought, hey, I'm gonna eat more salad, so I go to BJ's and buy a whole bag of salad, and I
Yeah.
had no idea to go through the chlorine water for a wash because they're trying to make sure that it's getting rid of mold and bacteria, right? Because we've been hearing about E. coli and salmonella contamination. And the FDA, in my research, allows it to be 4 parts per million. So they're saying that it's safe. It's like our water, drinking water, they allow a little bit of chlorine in the processed water. So I was like, I may be unconsciously being a cancer survivor that I may be ingesting more chlorine into my system that I really didn't want. So, I was like, what does this all mean? And when my research also said that you may be losing some of the nutrients as well because they're already torn apart and washed. So you may be washing away some of the nutrients. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm trying to eat healthy. What in the world's going on here? So I
Yeah,
decided probably in
exactly.
the future, I better just buy the vegetables that's not torn apart and maybe just make sure I buy it closer to when I'm going to eat them so that I retain nutrients. So I just thought
I
that was
made
a
an
real
Instapot the other night, and I wanted carrots, so I bought the long carrots, and I washed them. I ran water over, and I cut them up. And this may sound stupid, but I remember standing there looking, and I thought to myself, "Look, I have baby carrots." I put them up like baby carrots. It was like, "Look, I have carrots."
Nice job, Douglas. And
You're
I
so
just get a
adorable.
vegetable wash. So with all of that, I mean, you're not getting as much, and my salad tonight is out of a package, but I rinsed it again to hopefully maybe get the chlorine off. And I did it with the baby carrots as well. But I think you're going to have me not be so lazy anymore. And I am going to go get a full head of romaine lettuce and I'm going to suck it up and cut it up.
I think I'll be doing that from now on, these few days of research. And you know what? I found out, even if you bind these romaine lettuces, if you save the ends, you could just like putting water and it'll start growing again. Hey, there's something to for frugality.
Oh,
You know, in our book, Food for Thought, we actually have a whole section on how to grow food in a bucket. And so you can put a bucket on your deck or on your porch, and you can grow lettuce in your bucket right there on your porch.
I have to say, during
I think we need
summertime,
Douglas to do that. We need to, Douglas, new project when you're done with your tiny house.
ooh, that'd be
I was
fun.
just I was thinking, so if you take the stalk and put it in water, it'll actually grow another head of lettuce.
Yeah, it
You can put it
starts
in soil
growing.
too.
And you have to transfer to soil because every time I just leave it in water like that, I found out you have to change the water probably every day or every other day and make sure it's not completely soaked or else it starts growing mold. So probably once it starts growing, you should probably transfer to a pot of soil so it doesn't die on you.
I got
I did
5
that.
I have to interrupt this episode for just a moment with some exciting news. Our good friend Thomas, who he usually is here every single week. He is with Dr. Craig Walker over in Louisiana. And it was a little bit of an effort to get him there and get insurance to approve the procedure and everything. But it says here that he's still working, but he got across everything. All the blockage that he wanted to get across, the doctor was able to get across. This is such a blessing. Oh my God. So everyone who comes every week and knows Thomas, this is like the best news. And the fact that the doctor reached out to me to let me know is just
that's
makes me nuts.
amazing.
The doctor says he got through it all, all that he wanted to get through then.
He says there's still some mild thrombus distally, and he's going to take a look again tomorrow to see if it's resolved. But he said he's gotten across everything and got blood flow restored. So
Oh
That
man.
is amazing.
Oh,
He has been so worried about all that and the test and stuff. Yes,
I
that's awesome.
know. I had to bring that to you. We interrupt this program with some breaking news. And that's definitely breaking news. And it's such wonderful to hear. So such wonderful news to hear. So anyway, thank you for letting me. I know Douglas and I have been fighting the last 24 hours for this because we were still waiting with the Leg Saver hotline. Douglas and I were on standby for the insurance approval because with this particular insurance, it's some sort of state insurance in Louisiana. They've been denying procedures. This poor guy has been suffering, pacing all night long for months and months on end. It's been a nightmare. And they finally got insurance approval for it, I guess, a week ago, but then they didn't do the procedure within 2 days or some time frame. But they didn't tell anyone. So then they said that here's when we're doing the procedure, which was today. And yesterday they're like, well, you need to reapply for authorization again.
The poor
So
guy
by the
sat there
time
all afternoon waiting and waiting and waiting.
and waiting all the way up, and I'm on the phone texting with the doctor at 7 o'clock at night. And I said, well, what's the story here? He can't go another night. He's tortured. He's suffering. And he said, I'll tell you what, I'll be here. Send him through the emergency room tomorrow. And let's see if we can go that direction because we can't keep letting this poor man suffer. And so just as we were planning that, Thomas said that he couldn't get the insurance to provide a ride either because it was so last minute. So I partnered with Uber Health, and Uber Health was able to, we scheduled a ride through Uber Health. And we got that squared away. 8 o'clock his time, Central Time. finally, the hospital called and said, praise the Lord. We got insurance approval and it went on as scheduled. It was just, but it's never easy because then at 6:30 in the morning this morning, Uber Health, the first driver, canceled. And I got a call. He had to try waking me out of a sound sleep. My phone was on vibrate. He called 6 times to finally, and then finally
Uh-oh.
woke me up and got me. And I was able to reschedule him another ride. But we got him there, and he's doing great. They're keeping him overnight, but I'm sure he would want everyone to know.
So weird.
Yes.
I'll be standing next to his bed right now when Dr. Walker says I got through, simply
I
because
know.
my last conversation with him this morning, we said a short prayer together. It was, he goes, Douglas, if he just gives me 10%, I'm going to be happy. If he just gives me 5%, I'm going to be happy. Just to be able to see his face when Dr. Walker looks at him and says, dude, I got through all of it. Just that simple. I would just, oh man, freaking.
I know. Because they were going to cut off his legs 3 years ago.
Yeah,
Was
that's
it
what he
3 years
said
ago? Yeah.
about that. Yeah.
And in insurance has said over and over, well, his legs aren't worth saving. Like, stop doing procedures. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. A vascular surgeon that works for this insurance company is telling them that it's not worth doing these procedures and wanted to backseat quarterback this thing. And he's this guy is worth fighting for. He is a great
He's a
partner in his care. He
sweetheart.
belongs to a gym, right? He eats right. He really eats right. He's doing everything he needs to do. He is fighting right alongside his care team. So he definitely, if someone's willing to fight, they're worth saving.
I'm going to bring him some purple potatoes he can leave underwater overnight. And I'll bring him a head of carrots and some romaine lettuce down the road.
You're
This is
cracking me
awesome.
up.
That's funny.
Oh, wow.
Isn't
All
that the
right.
best? Okay,
I
number
love
three.
This is fun.
I know,
Num-
isn't this fun?
this
Okay, number
is-
three.
all right.
So we
Number
got
three.
potatoes. We got wash your vegetables, buy whole vegetables versus the bag
Watch out.
stuff as much as you can.
Watch out for oatmeal. Okay. How many how in my teaching of diabetes management, including a mistake I made 15 years ago, is that okay, we read oatmeal is so good for cholesterol, oatmeal is good for you, it's got the beta glycan, helps you feel full. Also, I went and bought oatmeal. Mistake I made was I bought the packet oatmeals because that spiked my blood sugar like crazy. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with oatmeal, but the choice of oatmeal you buy is going to be very important. The more processed it is, the less benefits you're going to have. So it's very important for you to go with the old-fashioned oatmeal or the steel-cut oatmeal where you're going to have to cook it. Okay. And if you're a diabetic like me, then you will use your blood sugar 2 hours after you eat, or your continuous glucose monitor, if you have one, to guide you how much oatmeal you can have. So my best friend, again, the same famous one that I keep calling my best friend, she had me, well, actually, she taught my husband how to make the steel cut oatmeal. And she always had him add just a pat of butter when he's cooking the whole batch, because butter is going to slow down the absorption of the sugar. And in addition, for example, if I eat steel cut oatmeal, if I eat a cup of it, I could spike to over 330. So okay, I'm like, I like it, but I'm not going to give it up. So what can I do? So I log it. Next time I have half a cup, then I find my sugar is around 220. I'm like, that's still too much for me. My body's not going to tolerate all of it. So using my continuous glucose monitor, I said, okay, what happens if I only do a third cup or a quarter cup of the oatmeal because I just like the taste of it during winter time. And I found out my sugar is under 180. I cover
Oh,
correctly. I could have quarter to one third cup. That's what my body would tolerate. And I treat it like Chinese congee. I don't know if you guys know what congee is. It's
yeah.
rice porridge. It's Chinese rice porridge. It's like a traditional Chinese breakfast where it's rice, but it's like a soup. So I'm Chinese, so I crave for that. So I treat my oatmeal. I always add spinach to it because I always want a vegetable to increase the fiber content. And I
Okay.
always add either a boiled egg, scrambled egg, or poached egg.
Poached egg. Yeah.
So I have protein, and that way, with the little pat of butter that my husband added to it when he's cooking a whole batch, plus he puts it in the refrigerator overnight before I'm allowed to have it. One, we're building it's just like any rice, pasta, or potato. If you overnight it, this is another trick that I wanted to tell you guys. You're building resistant starch. Okay, that means the molecules are forming a chain that's a little harder for the bacteria to break it down, so that your sugar is not going to spike as much. You will still have a rise in blood sugar, but it won't go as high as if you didn't put it in the refrigerator. But will this work with cookies? Cakes, pastries, it won't work with them because it's got fat and other molecules that's preventing the carbohydrate from forming a chain. So your blood sugar is going to tell you how much of the food you can tolerate. This is why I always say it's not that you can't have something, it's you just have to learn moderation and use your blood sugar as a guide. And another thing that I would recommend that you do is, since we talk about walking is so important for PAD, after you eat a carbohydrate load like that, just walk 10 to 15 minutes. One, your blood sugar won't spike as high. And two, you're using your big muscle groups. Okay, just think about it. If the food is going to your small intestine, now that sugar is already being broken down into
Yeah.
glucose, and now your body's absorbing it, right? So now your blood sugar goes up because your intestines absorbing that. So how do you bring it down? If you're exercising like walking, you're using your big muscle group so that the muscles are now grabbing that sugar out of the blood so you're not spiking as high. So the combination of fiber, protein to your carbohydrate and exercise, 10, 15 minutes walking will really help you control your blood sugar. Okay.
Oh, that's amazing. And you know what I do for my dad's? And that's why it was a little disconcerting. Like my dad's dietitian told us to give him some oatmeal because she wanted him off the Cheerios. He was a Cheerios guy. Every morning he had his cereal. So we were able to, she gave me this recipe to only do a quarter cup and split it between the rolled oats and the steel cut oats because it would give him the satisfaction of both, and then put those in a little baggie. So we have baggies. I have like 3 months worth, and put that in a little baggie, add a certain amount of raw cacao, add hemp seeds, add some collagen powder, add some pea protein powder or monk bean powder, and chia seeds, ground chia seeds, ground flax seeds, and Ceylon cinnamon, and we seal those bags, and then he just adds that to the water, and then he'll put a few berries in, and then he'll crush some almonds afterwards on top, and add a little bit of, we use like a nut milk, like cashew milk, or a little tiny bit of walnut milk, but
I think
he
I think
reverses
great.
diabetes.
Yeah, I think that's great because your chia seed is now helping to bulk up, right? Because it's now
Mhm.
uh, forming a gel. Just think of, why do I tell patients every meal have vegetables first, right? As the ADA plating is that think of Metamucil. Metamucil, when you add it to a glass of water, forms a gel. It slows down the absorption of the glucose from the food. So same thing with your chia seed. It's doing exactly that same mechanism. Plus, you're adding a little walnuts, and that's a little bit of good fat and fiber, and you got your berries. That's another antioxidants and fiber. That combination is just beautiful. I love it.
Okay, so we have two more. So number 4.
Well, we kind of jump into the resistance starts with that last one in the
Okay.
oatmeal. So I guess the last question we have is the best ice cream.
Oh, yes, 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 yes. The best ice cream.
Well, okay. So when I first started seeing a dietitian after I was diagnosed with diabetes, was that they say go with the sugar-free ice cream, but a lot of them has these sugar alcohol. So even though it's not spiking the blood sugar, but the alcohol, sugar alcohol can make you have a wonderful event in the bathroom. So I would call it blast off to the moon, if you guys know what I mean with the sugar alcohol.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to be
Yep.
overly descriptive here, but
Yeah.
what they don't tell you is that sugar alcohol in biochemistry, it is still converted into glucose later on. So I'm going to share a little story. One of my favorite endocrinologists, who's now retired from Cleveland Clinic, was Byron Hoogriff. And he took me on his hospital rounds one summer, my first summer off from podiatry school. He said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Studying for the boards." He said, "Oh, that's boring. I'm calling your dean so you could come to the wards with me for 2 weeks." He was on hospital
Mhm.
round, and I follow him in his residents and fellows, and he would quiz me just like all of them are being quizzed. And it turned out we went to see this uncontrolled person. Well, not uncontrolled person. I mean, person who's suffering with uncontrolled diabetes, and we couldn't figure out what was going on. And so he started looking into the drawers and the garbage can, and he saw a lot of candy wrappers, and he opened the drawer and he saw a lot of sugar-free candies, and he started reading the label, and he pointed out to me. He said, "What's that, Jean?" I said, "It's a sugar alcohol." And if I remember correctly, it was sorbitol. And he said, "What happens in the Krebs cycle?" I haven't had biochemistry yet, so I couldn't answer that question. So he turned to me and he said, "This is a problem with sugar-free. They tell you it's safe for diabetes, but look, her sugar, she's in the hospital because her sugar, we couldn't control it." It turns out it was the sugar alcohol being converted back into glucose. If you look into biochemistries, there's something called Krebs cycle. How does the body, move the energy around and all that? And
Yeah.
sorbitol, the sugar alcohol, that's converted in glucose. So initially, you may have a decent blood sugar, but later on, you could have a higher spike in your blood sugar from the sugar alcohol. So that was a shocker. Especially you think you're doing
Wow.
something good for your diabetes, but you're actually not. And so this is what my best friend, when she took over my diabetes management, told me. She said, "This is what I tell my patients, Jean. The two ice cream brands I allowed them to have is Breyer's ice cream, chocolate, vanilla, or strawberry." She said, "You're not allowed any other flavors, but those are the only three flavors you're allowed to have." Same thing with Haagen-Dazs. And the difference between in those two ice cream and the rest of the ice creams is because they're natural. All the ingredients are natural. So again, reading your label is very, very important, because any type of preservatives have, I think she told me, up to 48 hours that it will mess up your carbohydrate metabolism. So she told me, eat real ice cream, follow the portion size. Breyer ice cream, they whip more air into it, so your serving size is half a cup. Haagen-Dazs, it's very dense ice cream. That's why like, they don't have as much air, so your serving size is a quarter cup. But stick to all natural, no preservatives, and I do it that way and cover for my diabetes. And again, walk afterwards. And in fact, I just had ice cream today. Let's see, that was about an hour and a half ago. Let's see where my blood sugar is. I'm at 161 right now. So the American
Oh,
Diabetes Association wants you under 180 2 hours after you eat. So I'm at 161. So watch your portion size and watch for the preservatives. Even if the ice cream brand say, it's a little cheaper, it's not worth your health. Does that make any sense?
And Beth has a question.
I also, and you had kind of answered my question, but they say that sugar-free doesn't mean it's sugar-free. Just because that sugar-free label is on there, or it says zero sugar is on there, you still have just a little bit of sugar in it, and it's still going to affect you. And
Yeah.
no, and also, I prefer frozen yogurt over ice cream.
That's a good thing because in my research, it does say frozen yogurt is good. It also said, I recently saw this on Facebook and I haven't tried it. But in my research, it also said like cottage cheese, and you can mix in some berries or cacao and mix it together, and you could, just sweeten it a little bit with maybe just a little bit of natural honey, and freeze it. And they said that it tastes very close to being real ice cream, and it will give you something really high in protein as well. I personally haven't tried it because I just found this out last week when I saw this video on YouTube as well as on Facebook. So just a thought that you may want to like take a look at that.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Oh, no problem. We're all in this together.
We are, I just found an ice cream that is made. So what do you think? It's coconut milk, honey, and Madagascar vanilla. That's it.
Well, okay. So because you text me or email me that, right? I actually ran it through ChatGPT. It sounds very healthy, but I remember a conversation I had with our dietitians who have like advanced degrees in nutrition, and I actually brought this up about coconut oil and stuff sometime last year and what their thoughts were. And ChatGPT actually did mention, because it's coconut, some people are concerned about that it's more of a saturated fat, that it may increase your risk for heart disease. And when I ran it against peripheral arterial disease, it was recommending that you may want to, if you're going to make your own, might consider something like a almond milk and make your ice cream that way instead of coconut milk.
Interesting. I guess I'm kind of looking at it. If you're just having a little bit, like in a little portion, is it better to have? I mean, I guess I can't anyway. I'm anaphylactic to dairy, so I'm kind of screwed. And Breyers was one of my favorite ice creams ever, especially the vanilla bean. Oh my gosh. So,
Sorry.
but if I wasn't anaphylactic, would you still? I mean, having a little bit of either one, would you still choose the Breyers over the coconut milk?
I choose Breyers because I like Breyers.
I love that. But I have a little trick for you that you can make a little bit of your own magic shell. You can use a little bit of avocado oil, just enough, and put in and put it in a pan. Put in a little bit of raw cacao with, if you prefer, a little stevia, or I use a little raw agave, and I just to sweeten it a little bit. But you don't really need as much sweetness because the ice cream's already sweet, but it's just fun to have the texture of a little magic shell, and it turns into a magic shell when you put the warm liquid on the ice cream, and you get a little extra antioxidant punch with the raw cacao.
Wow. And I also came across, when I was asking ChatGPT today, I'm like, "Oh, how else can we make ice cream a little healthier?" It was saying you could take avocado. I love avocado because it has good fat as well as it has good fiber. You can mash that up, cacao powder, and maybe a drizzle of honey or stevia just to sweeten it up. And it's supposed to be very healthy. So that was an alternative if you want to try making your own healthy ice cream.
And Marcia is asking about, she puts it in our chat, about this Unreal. I guess it's there might be some ice cream or candies or something like that, cups and pretzels and gems, and they have all kinds of stuff. I'm thinking that you might want to add that to your list to look up and bring us back what you think about that that particular brand and those products. But again, we're talking about things that are with preservatives and packaged and such. And so the more natural, of a snack that you can get, probably the better, I would imagine.
I heard this term yesterday. If your grandmother didn't make it, don't eat it.
Your grandmother. Oh my gosh. It calls
Hang on.
itself.
Hang on. I think everything my grandmother made was fried. Even the ice cream was fried. You talking about ice cream? Homemade ice cream. Remember the rock salt and sitting and turning?
Oh, we did that in chemistry class. We did that in high school. That was fun. That was after the AP exam. Our chemistry teacher said, okay, that's your treat. I'm going to let you guys have ice cream. So we actually did it with the rock salt, made our own vanilla ice cream that way.
Very smart. So it said, it just says that, and with these things, no corn syrup or sugar alcohols, 40% less sugar. I'm trying to find some of the ingredients, just because these little nougat bars that are dark chocolate do look awfully tasty. If you're gonna cheat with something, they do look awfully good, but I can't find the ingredient list.
It says no sugar or alcohols. You know what? I got that off Amazon. Let me see. A girl had them yesterday. She brought the
But
chocolate
has cane
coconut.
sugar.
Oh, it does. So, well, that's why I'm asking. She
Oh, it
brought.
has, no, no, no. It has not only, it has the cassava syrup is the number one, then it goes on and it says organic cane sugar, then go down and it says powdered sugar. But it's 40% less sugar.
Well,
Um,
I always say, in moderation, it's a treat. Okay. If you're going to have it, just do it as a treat day. Okay. You don't deprive yourself, because I know deprivation didn't work. My previous endocrinologist before Dr. Manassas, he even yelled at me for taking a vitamin because it's got starch. And my best friend actually said, you're becoming vitamin deficient, and I wasn't feeling good. So
yeah, that's not good.
deprivation is not good, because it just makes you want it more, right? So if you're going to have it as a treat, have it in moderation.
Yeah. And that's why I like this show. And for those that are looking at this going, oh my God, they're promoting butter and they're promoting ice cream. No, you know what? Honestly, we're just realists here. And we're teaching people, we know that everyone is going to cheat. Everyone has a certain craving, but how can you still have those, cravings and be able to react to those cravings and not cause unhealthy sugar spikes, consistently, but also just every once in a while. And what's healthier for you. And so that's why it's so great to have you here, because it's an honest conversation, right? If you're going to have ice cream, well, you know what? Here's the healthier, not saying it's healthy. We're not saying that anything's healthy. We're saying it's healthier. It's a better option. And the Breyers or the Haagen-Dazs. If you're going to eat French fries, well, French fries definitely are not healthy. But if you are going to have those cravings, here is a healthier, here's a better option. Here's a way to improve it, and it's still going to be satisfying and taste good. So that I love this approach, and I really appreciate you being here, Dr. Chen. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. We'll have to have you back. Go ahead, Douglas.
Uh, Real quick, can you that avocado and the honey? That sounded really good, but we have to watch our honey too, don't we?
Yes, we do, because honey can still spike your blood sugar. So again, just a little tad, or maybe you want to try like stevia or monk fruit, to sweeten it up. But I don't know, like, use your body blood sugar to experiment.
And I love that just as we are ending the P.A.D. Leg Saver Hotline podcast. We get a call on the Leg Saver hotline, and our P.A.D. navigator, Douglas, popped right off and beat me to the punch. So he's going to grab that. And we've already had 6 calls today on the hotline. And please feel free to call in. We're always here to help. 1-833-PAD legs, whatever questions you might have on peripheral artery disease, diabetes management. Join our group, padsupportgroup.org. And we have our amazing diabetes educator that is there in the group, Dr. Chen. So get in there, join us, ask the questions, and make sure, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel for more great content like this. Thanks everyone for joining us.
Good night,
Thank you, Dr.
everyone.
Chen.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you, Dr.
you.